So congratulations on being here. And so now tell me a little bit about what sparked this. I will open it up for Q&As, but I always like to have my questions first. So tell me a little bit about how it sparked and what you shot on, a little bit about your production.
Sure. I was doing a production of The Scarecrow at the Pacific Resident Theater, and I discovered I was the only one in the theater that didn't believe in ghosts. And I found that very odd, and so that's what sort of inspired the story. We shot on a kit with the Canon XL2. I don't know.
The question was, what inspired? Okay. So a little bit about the production. Okay. So long story short, Joe and I and Tammy and I have been working. I've been working together for about 6 years, and we had done about 5 short films together. And so Joe came to me with his Never Say M script, and we sat down and talked about it for many, many weeks. And I started imparting upon him a couple of things that I had learned from USC Film School, and he went off and started producing, and actually started getting interest. And I was more and more interested the more interest he got. So I actually said to him, Joe, why don't you go out and hire a director, one of these guys that makes commercials. So he actually went to a couple friends of his, and they turned him down. So by default, I win. So anyways, long story short, again, we basically sat down and said, okay, this is our budget. We have $0. And how are we going to do this? And we said, look, we have an amazing cast of actors at our disposal. Not like you can just toss them out. They're amazing people, very talented, amazing chemistry, and we said we can do this at the theater. And we actually can thank.
Yeah, well, I'm with the Circle X Theater Company, and we had that was like the 1 year in Circle X's life where we actually had a space, and so I took advantage of that, and we shot for 12 days at Stages Theater in Hollywood, 12 very long days, and then one of those days being a green screen day, and then 2 more days of like pickups later on.
Well, just out of curiosity, I'm going to assume that most of your actors then are theater-based versus being just out from here and doing film. So how did that affect you guys in your process of creating the characters and putting them up to screen? And I don't know if it should go to director or right. You want it?
Well, we rehearsed for like 6 weeks, both at Pacific Resident Theater and at Circle X, and because the actors are theater actors, we looked for actors who had Shakespeare experience, who had fight experience. We were able to shoot quicker because the actors came in very prepared and knew their lines, and we didn't have to figure it all out while we were going. We came in very prepared, so we can just go, and especially with those big scenes. It was hard.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes a lot of time to be able to do fight choreography, and you really need that 6 weeks to rehearse it because you don't want anybody injuring themselves. Although somebody did break a finger, I think she's here, the curse of Macbeth. So it does take a long time, and you're able to,
Merchant of Venice.
Out here, are there any questions out here for these really fun folk? Wow, you guys are easy. Then let me ask you this then, especially for you. Did you end up having to really tone people back because you're now going for the camera versus being, a theatrical, broader experience?
Actually, all the actors had some film experience, like short films and some features. And as far as toning back, that wasn't hard because we had rehearsed for 6 weeks. I basically walked in and knew what I wanted, but they gave me more. So I actually storyboarded 500 shots, And I said, okay, I've got this exact idea of how they're going to stand, and then they're going to walk over here. And when we started rehearsing, they gave me everything we needed. We walked into the space, and they said they started living. And as far as toning back, it was just we had to move so fast. There was no need to really worry about toning back because they were living the characters. What do you think, Joe? Good.
A lot of these characters actually are based on actors that we know, and we cast people that kind of, but very, very loosely, not that there's any rights issues or anything like that, but they're very loosely based on people that we know, so we kind of were able to cast people kind of similar to those people.
In fact, the character of Jenna is based on Tammy, who is very much a Star Wars geek.
So, considering the fact that you had, we actually,
Oh, yeah. I'd like to know who the director is based on. The line when he says, so great he takes credit for remodeling the guy, and he goes, I'm not an actor, because they're never get anywhere with that. It's just a hilarious concept. It's based on somebody real, and then how expensive and how difficult is it green screen or any of the effects?
Well, Jason is based on a conglomerate of many directors that I worked with. But I did do a play once where on opening night I got a little overzealous and I was jumping up and down on a couch and it broke. After the performance, the director said, "You're gonna have to pay for that bed. You know, you're gonna have to pay for that couch." And so I put that in there. But you know, it's kind of a mix of a lot of things. The effects. So, well, Chris came to our rescue, and he got USC for a day for us to do green screen work, and that was terrific. We didn't have everything we needed, and our effects guy, Jason, the guy who plays Jason is Alexander Enberg, and he did our special effects. So he rounded up in the back of the theater, he found this ugly green tarp. And so, spur of the moment, we did some extra green screen stuff with this green tarp. Then, after the editing was done, he proceeded to move in with Tammy and I, and basically worked round the clock doing our special effects in exchange for... I've bought many sticky buns from Whole Foods and a lot of cherry vanilla sodas. I can't tell you how many times I had to run to the supermarket to get that.
well, it sounds like all in all, you guys had a pretty fun experience. But since you don't believe in ghosts, but everybody else does, did you have any problems with the fact that you were saying the M word in a theater?
Well, we do feel that our film was cursed. Chris had a car accident during on the way to the first sound meeting. List some of the stuff.
I think maybe about half of the cast or crew had car accidents during this whole process. I said the book. Oh, here's one. 5 minutes into our final color correction, Los Angeles experienced a citywide blackout. We had like 2 days before our final sound mix, our sound mixer's hard drive crashed. I mean, everything that you can possibly imagine that could go wrong went wrong, and somehow we managed to get through it all.
Well, I have to say, I thought it looked very beautiful up there, so I hope you guys enjoyed it too. Is there any other questions?
How long did it take you to write the script?
Probably about 3 years. I wrote it as a screenplay, and it was a very expensive screenplay. And I tried to sell it, and they weren't too interested in anything that had to do with Shakespeare. They said it was too indie. And so people kept saying, hey, that would make a great play, that would make a great play. So I transformed it into a play. And we did a reading of it, and it had tons of actors and characters, but because when I made it into a play, I eliminated a lot of locations and a lot of characters. And nobody was interested in it in a play because it was still way too difficult to do as a play. But now all of a sudden it had the potential to be a low-budget film because it was all now in the theater, you know. And so I turned it back into a film, and yeah.